and welcome back to Over the Next Hill Fitness Podcast. I'm Carla Coffey, your coach and host for today's program. This program is brought to you by Coffee Crew Coaching. If you need a coach, I do run coaching, I do fitness coaching, strength training. If you're local to the Madison area, I might be able to fit you in my actual in-person schedule, but otherwise I do a lot of things virtual. So if you need a coach, Carla at coffeecrewcoaching.com is a direct way to get a hold of me. There is also a button in the show notes that you can send me your email. I have found out that if you ask me questions, I can't answer you directly. So make sure we have ways to get in touch with you. It's also brought to you by HydroPatch. If you haven't tried HydroPatch, I believe in it in this hot weather that we're having here in the middle of summer in Madison, Wisconsin. It really helps because you get those electrolytes through your skin. So if you're not really feeling like drinking anything sweet or whatever for your electrolytes, you can just have water and have the patch on. So there's discount codes in the show notes that you can try it out. So I hope you'll do that. Today I'm going to be talking to Deb Bahr. We had a really fun conversation, so I hope that you'll enjoy her story, and I'll see you at the end. Hey, Deb, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you, Carla.
So let's talk activity. I know you just got done with some Pilates, but tell me about your fitness journey, how you got started, why you got started, anything like that.
Well, let's see. Back in my 20s, I used to run, and I ran mainly for escape. I was under a lot of stress. I had kind of a challenging marriage I was in with someone who had some substance abuse issues. So I would just take off and run, 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 run. And it was really nice. But then I ended up going back to school, and running kind of fell by the wayside as I pursued a career. And then, I divorced him, ended up a couple years later remarrying. Then kids came along, and working full time and kids, everything my fitness journey just kind of fell by the wayside until I was 59.
Wow.
It's a shame. I hope others use that as an example of what not to do.
Better
Because
late than never.
I know, because in my perimenopause years, between 40 and 50, before I started menopause, um, I started to put on weight. It was really slow. And then from 50 to, I don't know, throughout my whole 50s, I continued to gain more weight because I had a, more sedentary job, and I was traveling a lot for work. I was sitting at a desk, and I traveled to places where, I had a expense account and I could eat at really nice places. Like I said, I ate myself up one side of the Vegas Strip and down the other, and I blew up like a balloon. And at about 58, I got to do something. I really have to do something with my health. I want to be around for my kids, for my grandkids, and I didn't have my kids until I was in my 30s. So um, I decided, okay, I'm too fat to run. At least so I thought. But I had gotten up to 250 at one time. So, I mean, I really porked out. Um, but I didn't think I looked that bad. I look at those pictures now and I'm like, oh, man, not good. So I decided I triathlon had reached Omaha, and I decided to do triathlon.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, I won't get bored because it's not just one thing, it's three,
Yeah.
and it'll keep me challenged. And so I had to learn how to swim again, how to bike again, because I hadn't been on a bike since I was a kid, really hadn't swam since I was in school, and I hadn't ran since my 20s. So I had to start out slow, um, Didn't have a trainer. Did it on my own with books and YouTube videos, and joined a local triathlon club and listened to the advice of others. Had many injuries along the way due to overtraining, common noob mistake, and but then learned and was able to do my first triathlon. I did my first sprint triathlon at 60, the
Wow.
year I turned 60. And so I just fell in love with the sport, all aspects of it. I loved all of it. Um, so I continued to do that and race locally and traveled to a few places. Um, did Legends down in Kansas. I can't remember all of them we went to and that I did. But I never made it to Ironman because, at my age, I just didn't want to put all my life into training that
Yeah.
hard. I had other things that I wanted to do too.
Yeah.
But I did make it to nationals,
Oh, wow.
the age group nationals. Um, at nationals, I think I was the only person there on a non-carbon fiber bike, but I finished.
Yeah.
Um, I came in last out of 44 flippin' fast old ladies. And a lot of these people have been doing it for decades. They were
Yeah.
very good. But I had a PR and I was happy and continued to do it for a little bit. But then around the same time, I found trail running. And I found I really like trail running. I
Mm-hmm.
loved running in the woods with other people, by myself. It was so relaxing and it worked a whole new group of muscles
Mm-hmm.
that hadn't been worked. And I really enjoyed it. It was just peaceful. It was wonderful. And the community here in Omaha for trail running, Greater Omaha trail runners that I ran with were wonderful. So welcoming, helped me as a noob kind of learn the ropes, learn the trails, because my biggest concern was getting lost.
Yeah.
And then I found, oh, okay, once I ran the trails a couple times, it was fine. I could go by myself, no problem. So it kind of brings me full circle to where I am now. I've done a lot of trail races. I think I did my 50K when I was 64,
Wow, that's great.
but I wanted to get that in. If I was younger when I started trail running, I would have shot, for 100K and then 100 miles. I don't know if I would have gone over that, but that's just not in me now. Some people have a natural body of a runner and they just make it look so effortless. I do not. I'm kind of built like a bohemian farm woman. So, you can hear me coming. It's work for me. It's it's not effortless, but I
Well,
love
I
it.
sound like the Grim Reaper when I run sometimes, so they hear me coming too, but a whole different way.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and you just learn to roll with it.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite race that you've done, whether distance or location? What would you say?
I would say there's two of them.
Okay.
We have two of them in Omaha, and I'll go with trail races. And there was one that was my favorite triathlon, and the favorite triathlon was Legends in Kansas.
Okay.
It was 90 degrees, 90 some degrees, maybe 96, 97,
Yeah. That was your
with about the
favorite?
I'll tell you why. And then
Okay.
about the same amount of humidity. It's my favorite because it was such a challenge and I made it through and finished with a smile coming across that finish line, and they had cold beer at the finish on
Okay.
tap. So that was motivational. But I got kicked in the face, my goggles going out. Halfway around on the swim turn, some guy who didn't know how to sight clearly, nailed me with his hand on the top of my head so bad I saw stars and got
Oh,
dizzy and had to call the support staff over to give me a floaty so I could let my head clear before I went
yeah.
on. But I went on, and then on the bike, it was very hilly, and I had never ridden so many hills that were that steep. I mean, I clocked myself going about 44 on my bike computer, and I thought to myself, dang, if I wipe out, I'm really going to get seriously hurt.
Yeah.
But it was so exhilarating and fun at the same time. Um, and it was hot, and then you came back and you had to go on the run part, and it was even hotter then.
Yeah.
But I used my trail running strategy of boob ice, which I stuff a bunch of ice down my bra
There you
to keep
go.
my core cool, and um, and that got me through. There were a lot of people dropping out due to heat
Yeah.
issues. They just couldn't tolerate it. And so that was my favorite because there were so many things that thrown in our way as
Hmm.
obstacles, and I was able to work through them. My trail runs, I like here in Omaha at Lake Cunningham with the Goats Run,
Hmm.
and we did my 50K, so I spent a lot of time training for that, but they have their annual October race where they have various distances. So I started there running, 5 mile. I think it was a 5K. Then I did 5 miles. Then I worked up to 10. Then I did the 21 miler. And then I did the 50K. And I did, many of those. So I just enjoyed them. And then we have a dizzy goat race that was at Shram Park here in Omaha where you ran 3 mile loops and you ran one way, and then when you finished that loop, then you went backwards. You ran the other way. So it was just like dizzy goat, and you
Yes.
had to flip your armband, and that was pretty hilly too, and it was always hot and humid at shoot. But it was so much fun because we had motivational aid stations and everybody. It was just fun. Just made it a good time, like a big party. So
Yeah.
those are
Those.
my happy races.
Yeah. The aid stations and spectators can really make the difference between a good race and a bad race.
Exactly. And the organizers, the race directors, everything just comes together perfectly.
Hmm. Yeah. So, do any of your family members, any of your kids run with you, or do you have grandchildren yet?
Yeah. No, none of my kids run with me. My my husband doesn't run. He used to run when he was in the military. He was a master fitness trainer, and he ran all the time when our kids were little because he had to stay fit, for PT tests.
Yeah, for his training.
But I didn't run then. And then, he kind of got out of the service and, ended up having some bad knees. And so he doesn't run anymore. But then I started running. And my my youngest son, who's in town, didn't run. My oldest son was in med school. He didn't have any time, and he was married. So, he's got his own thing going on. But I will say, 2 years ago, I think it was, he decided he was going to do triathlons.
Oh, nice.
So he decided, not having done any triathlon before, he was going to take on Ironman Lake Placid as his first triathlon
Of course he
ever.
is. Yes,
I'm
of
like,
course.
are you nuts? Do you know it's one of the toughest ones? And you know, as a mom, you try to give him steer him towards some advice and strategies. But, if that would have come from anyone else, he might have listened. But coming from his mom, kids, what do we know?
Right. But
And
hey,
so
at
he
least
had
you
to learn.
inspired him. You inspired him to do something. He just
Yeah,
went all out. I mean, you know.
he did go all out, and that's kind of how he just went all out, and
Yeah.
he finished. But I could tell when he came across the finish line, his legs had locked up on him, and he was
Mm.
miserable. But then he did 3 months later, same year, second Ironman Chattanooga.
Wow.
But he was a little more prepared, and he did much better. He shaved a couple hours off his time.
Wow.
He was smiling every time. We went down there to support him with his wife and kids, and it was wonderful. He was smiling at the finish. And then he got busy with life and family, 4 kids,
Oh, yeah.
2 years apart, and they're all under 11. So things are busy.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about Chattanooga, I heard it's a river swim and you go with the
Hmm.
current. So that was
Yeah.
probably a little easier than anything
Yeah.
else.
And
So,
the run, I think there was some in hills in there, but you know, not like Placid. And he
mm-hmm.
said the bike was really enjoyable. And we met
Oh,
him and cheered him on at several spots along the course. So it was a lot of fun.
oh, yeah,
I think
that's
that
great.
was more fun for me too because I got to watch him. And
Yeah.
the 4 kids always do the Iron Kids races.
Oh, that's cool. So
Yeah,
you
and they
do
said
see
some,
you're inspiring the grandkids too.
yeah, they said someday they want to do a triathlon like Grandma and Daddy,
There you go.
and
That's great.
hopefully they will.
Yeah, that's great. So, you mentioned before we started recording that you're not running anymore. I know you're doing Pilates. What else? Are you walking, biking?
I do. I do both.
Okay.
I walk 3 to 4 miles. I try to walk every day.
Hmm.
Some days I can't do it outside. I have to do it inside, but it's boring as heck on a treadmill.
It really
So I
is.
really prefer to get out on a trail somewhere. And I have lucky I live right up the street from a really nice trail.
Mm.
And so I can get down there and slam out 3 to 4 miles several times a week, probably most days. Uh,
Mhm.
it just depends on the weather here. I'm in Nebraska, so sometimes the humidity and the heat kind of pushes me inside,
Sure.
and or maybe I'll cycle that day.
Oh, that's good. Get some cross training. Do you do
Yeah.
any races, even though you're walking? Do you do races?
You know, I do a couple, but we travel a lot now in our retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to schedule a race because I don't know if we're going to be around for that
Hmm.
date or not.
Sure.
So a couple of times I've signed up and ended up our travel times conflicted and I had to miss it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wait until later in the year and see what the plans are. I try to make it when I can.
Hmm.
But it's interesting now, since I've been trail running since 2012, um, the community has changed. There's a lot of us old timers or OGs in the trail running community here that are still around, and it's nice to be with them on the trails. But there's a lot of younger people coming in, and
Yeah.
which is really nice to see. But I don't know any of them.
Right.
Um, but I do try to get out there when I can, when the time allows. But I really, and then when I am on those races, I do try to run a little. I
Oh,
try to
yeah.
run, I run walk
Sure.
because
Yeah.
my knees are bone on bone now. And I'm trying to, they don't hurt. So I think, I don't want to push it and I don't have knee replacements. They don't give me pain at
Yeah.
all.
That's great.
Except maybe when the weather changes, just
Hmm.
like any old person. But
So, when you travel, do you go out of Nebraska or you just travel locally? Tell me about your travel.
we travel all over. We've gone up to New York, we're on the West Point, Hudson River Valley. We go south down to Nashville, Chattanooga, Florida.
Because you
Where,
could, when you get settled for the weekend or whatever, you could look up a local race and do a race as you travel.
yeah, I had thought about that, but then we don't tow a vehicle.
Hmm.
So getting there and learning the course, I don't know. I just, I usually use what local trails are available and close
Hmm.
to me there. So I kind of go, not afraid to go out alone and venture on those trails.
Right.
Um, I did encounter a black bear once,
Ooh,
Minnesota, one time
wow.
on my bike. That was nice. I was glad I was on my bike
Yeah.
because then I could move quickly.
Yeah. Maybe still not outrun it, but have a better chance, right?
Yeah, yeah, at least I had a fighting chance.
Right. Did you ever have any significant injuries when you were running, or even now as a walker biker?
You know, when I was running, I had a lot of, I do a lot of like since 2020 when everything kind of shut down and drove everybody to find alternate ways.
Hmm.
I did a lot of endurance virtual racing. So I don't know if you've heard about the great virtual race across
Yeah,
Tennessee
yeah,
by Laz.
we did that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done that, I don't know, I think every year. And then I did the CRAW, let's see, circumpolar race around the world.
Hmm.
And it took me 2 years on my team to finish that. That was a lot of work.
Wow, how far
It,
was it?
oh,
What do
geez.
they consider like around the world?
Oh, God, I don't know. I'd have to go downstairs and look I got a great big wooden map mounted on my
Oh,
fireplace that we got as an award for finishing. And it
wow.
tells you how many miles and how many kilometers it is, but I don't remember.
Oh,
It
that's
was
fun.
long. It was long. It was broken down into regions by countries,
Very cool.
but that kept me motivated
Yeah, for
and
sure.
kept me honest. Um, but I got horrible plantar fasciitis,
Oh.
and
Mhm.
so I had to treat that. I haven't had any, get an occasional ankle sprain or something, or
Mhm.
I've never fallen on a dirt trail or tripped over a root, so
Wow.
no injuries like that. I did slip on a tiny little spot of mud on my
Mhm.
second 50K and fell right on my lower back
Oh.
and hit it in such a way I herniated 2 discs.
Oh no.
So I had been accepted in the Barkley, in the baby Barkley, not
Yeah.
the regular Barkley, God
Yeah,
no,
but
but
still.
in the Barkley Fall Classic, and you know, I thought, well, maybe I could work through. It took me, let's see, that was in October. I don't think I could really start walking again regularly until March.
Wow. What
It
year
was
was that? Was that recent?
no, that was maybe 5 years ago.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, and it was brutal. I mean, it was, when you're an injured runner and you can't run or walk, and you just see everybody else doing it and posting about it,
We are
it's
dangerous.
you go to dark places in your
Yeah.
head, and it's
Yeah.
not fun.
No.
So I waited until July and thinking, well, maybe. And, I got out and I tried and I thought, I knew what that race entailed. It's a lot of straight up hills. It requires a lot of training.
What's the distance for the baby?
Well, it's supposedly a 50K,
Mm.
but it could be a little more than that because,
Yeah.
Lance.
Well, and trails are never consistent, so
No. And like I said, you don't know what the weather's going to be like.
Mhm.
It's up and down. I mean, straight up and down. So you got to be ready for that.
Yeah.
And there's bees and brambles and heat and just all sorts of things to deal with. So it was mainly just the physicality of that race that I knew there was no way I was going to be ready for that as an older person. It would have been challenging even if I was 30 to be ready
Yeah.
after all of that. So I had to give up my spot to somebody else
Mm.
who could be tortured.
Yeah. Now, do you
Fun
think
torture.
you'll apply again or anything to do that one again?
Hell no. No. I'm I'm going to
Tell
be
you how you
seven.
really feel, Deb.
I know. I'm going to be 73 this year, so I feel that it really was calling me strongly back then, and I really thought I could. I don't know if I would have been able to finish, but I would have given it my best effort,
Sure.
and I think at least made it to the fun run part of it. But I made peace with it back then, and I figure sometimes things happen for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just kept doing other things and tried to modify. But no, my injuries are usually stuff that's just kind of fluky. A couple years ago, I was sliding down an icy hill that even with spikes on, it was icy during the winter on a winter hike, steep.
Mm.
Um, and I thought, well, I'll slide down on my butt because that's what the other gals were doing. And so they said, oh, no stumps, no rocks. It's smooth. Come on, Deb, slide down. I hit a rogue stump and it flipped me, tore my running tights right down the crack of my butt and flipped me over. And when my left arm hit that ice, broke my wrist.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and then I had to climb out up a steep hill to get out of there and drive about 40 minutes home to the nearest ER.
Ugh.
So that was a joy. But, that's the worst. That and that herniated disc, those are my worst injuries running. Normally, I do stupid stuff like tripping over a crack in a sidewalk if I'm doing a paved crate and I go down and get a bruise on my hip or something.
Yeah.
But it's usually because I'm looking at something else and not where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But any injury, like you said, when you're sitting and watched everybody else, that's just the worst.
It
Ugh,
is.
it really is.
It is.
I,
But no, some people have like torn labrums, all that. I had a
mm,
rotator cuff tear when I was swimming
yeah.
that I had to have repaired. And then um, I treated my rehab as training and did a triathlon like 3.5 months later.
Wow.
Was able to do that.
That's
And
fantastic.
yeah, they do stupid stuff like slipping on hibiscus leaves, getting out of a hot tub in Jamaica,
Oh my God.
slipping, and put all my weight on my hand, so my elbow on my right arm went out of place and
Wow.
bent totally backwards.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to have that reduced down in a third world country. That was a joy. And
Yeah.
then follow up with my orthopedic guys here. But
And did
again,
they do okay according to your orthopedics? Did they take care of you well?
well, they said nothing was broken, but my radial head was fractured.
Oh.
But their X-ray machine looked like something out of the 50s. So,
It was probably just a big toaster.
yeah,
And here's
you
what we
know,
found.
it was just a kind of a band-aid to get me wrapped up, reduced. They did put me under general anesthetic, reduced it, so at least it was in place and
Mm,
immobilized me until I got home. And I stayed and finished out the rest of our vacation because why not?
yeah.
I
Paid
mean, we were
for.
in Jamaica and we
Yeah.
had butlers who brought us everything. Wasn't going to get that type of service at home.
No. Yeah. I mean, if you could sit there and let people wait on you, yeah, they probably would have
Why
stayed.
not?
Yeah. So, how old are your grandchildren that are wanting to do these or that are doing these
They're
tries?
they're still young. 11, 9, 7, and the littlest one will be 5 in September.
Okay. Well, you'll have to rope them into doing something with you, not just like on their own. Because I just recently, in May, did a 1 mile race with one of my grandsons. He is 7,
Oh,
and it was the best thing ever. That he chose me to run it with him because he had options of his mom or dad too. And he said, "I want Grandma to run," and I went, "I'm there." Got my running stuff, and
that's
so you got to get them, you got to do one with one of them. It just there's just nothing like it. I mean,
that would be awesome. My
yeah.
challenge is they live four states away in
Oh,
Ohio, and
yeah,
I'm in Nebraska. So
yeah,
just getting out to see them. My grandma bank gets empty,
yeah,
and when I get out there, I gotta just really fill it up so I can bring it back with me.
yeah, yeah. Mine, these particular three grandkids live just about an hour away, and we actually did our race in Ohio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I finished my 50 states in May, and in the Flying Pig in Ohio, and they
Oh,
came.
yeah, I've heard of that
Yeah,
up in Cleveland.
Yeah, and they came and they did the 1 mile. And then my youngest son, their dad, did his first marathon with me and doing my 50th. So, and then their mom did the
Oh,
10K. But yeah, so it was just nice. It was a pretty big family thing, but the fact that he chose me, just like my heart just was like, oh yeah, it's me.
oh, I bet it was
So
bursting.
yeah. So if you get there and there's even just a 1 mile fun run somewhere going on, I mean,
Yeah,
it's just something about the accomplishment of seeing them accomplish that and then and doing
and
that with
being
them.
there. Yeah,
It was just it was just great. I mean, it was
that would be a dream come true for
right. I
me.
know it's so crazy that just those little things just mean so much to you.
Yeah, and it's nice because I could still do that.
Absolutely.
And that's why I do it because I want to continue to be fit
Hmm.
and functional as I age.
Yes,
When
absolutely.
I started Pilates, even though I'm pretty active, when I started Pilates, I had reached a point that, I had trouble getting up off the floor if I was sitting on a floor for a long time.
Yeah,
I had to find something to help pull me up. Don't have to do that anymore. I can get up pretty easily on my own.
that's great.
So that's really helped me build my functionality.
Hmm.
My balance has always been horrible. And so it's still bad, but it's better. And
Hmm.
so I continue to work on that. And anybody listening in, if you're younger, your balance definitely will wane as you age. And if you don't actively work on it, you will lose it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
learn from those of us who have been there.
I have some older clients that I work with, and that's some of the things we work on is
Yeah,
balance. And if they're able, we get up and off the floor. I'll get down with them and do bird dog, and then mostly, I mean, it's good for their core, but I want them to be able to get off the floor. You know,
exactly.
it's just so important that we
It
be able to
is.
do that.
And
Yeah.
to have your balance so you can climb and get stuff and
Hmm.
carry things and yeah, do all the things you love around the house.
Absolutely. So, what's on your agenda for activities, races? You got anything coming up that you're signed up for?
Not a dang thing. Honestly,
Yeah.
right now at this point in my life, I am out on the trails for the pure joy of it. I I was kind of competitive for an older person. That kind of surprised me, but I've always been a little competitive. So the fact that now I sold my carbon fiber triathlon bike, my Kiwa. I sold that. Now I have an e-bike. It weighs 50 pounds.
Oof.
I rarely use it. I mean, I rarely use the pedal assist. I just turn it on in case.
Yeah.
Um, because it's a good cardio and leg workout to
I
pedal
bet.
that beast without
I,
any pedal assist. But I enjoy that. Only time I turn it on is my quarter mile coming uphill to home because the hill is like this,
ooh,
and
yeah.
I put that baby on high pedal assist, and I just go like the Wicked Witch of the West, and I don't feel like my heart is going to come out of my chest. So it's kind of nice to be able to do things just for the pure joy of them and being out there. I don't feel like I need to prove myself to anyone or even to myself anymore, which is kind of a nice place to be. As you get older, you find out you reach a point where you just don't care. I mean, you care, but
Right.
you don't need to please anybody but yourself, and
Yeah.
and you find your joy again in doing things, the simple things, and I love that
Yeah. That's great. That's
because
great.
not everybody gets to enjoy that.
No.
They get taken early, and I get to
Hmm.
still be here and enjoy these things.
Yeah. And be active and healthy doing it. That's the main. I
Exactly.
mean, I think that's the key. Is that look at how active you are. Because of the activity that you've done over the years, and you're still doing. So yeah, you're gonna give them the run for the money.
Yeah. Does that mean I want to go every day? No. Some days I want to just sit on my ass on the couch and not do anything but surf on social media and watch goofy videos or go down in my basement and make something, you know. Um, but I get out anyway. I push myself to go out because when it's done, I always feel better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you have any last words of wisdom? Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like the people to know?
Oh gosh. No, I think you really did a nice job, Carla, covering everything that I really had to contribute.
Okay.
The
Well,
only other
thank.
thing I can say is don't get too heavy when you're in your perimenopause. Stay active. Hit it early, you know. If
Yeah.
you're younger in your 30s, stay active. Don't It's hard to find that balance with your family, but even if you can get out and just get a few things physical done 3 times a week, it's better than nothing,
Mm,
you know, because I paid the
indeed.
price for that, and it took me a lot of work to overcome some of the damage. I might still be heavier than I want to be, but my doctor says, "You're the healthiest 72-year-old I have ever known." She goes, "Your labs are like perfect."
That's
So I'm
great.
like, "I like
Yeah.
to hear that. I'll take it."
Heck yeah. Take every bit of it.
That's right.
Well, Deb, thank you so much for being on the show. I will
You
look
bet.
forward to maybe talking to you again.
All right. Well, thank you, Carla.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed Deb's story. It was a lot of fun for me. And if you need to look me up on any of the socials, you can find me on Facebook, Coffee Crew Coaching, and on Instagram, the same. You know, I still struggle with Instagram, so bear with me on that one. I do have a YouTube channel. If you want to see our faces, you can. I feel the audio is much better, but you know, to each his own. If you want to get out there and check us out, Over the Next Hill Fitness Podcast is where you can see me on YouTube. It's not that big of a deal. You don't really need to see my face. So thanks for listening in. Please continue to rate and follow and share the program. If you want to be on the podcast, please email me, Carla at coffeecrewcoaching.com, and I'll get you on. It's super simple. I make it easy. It's fun. We're just chatting. We're having a good time. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you soon.